Good evening. I guess I don't know really how to start these things. I am going to be starting a vlog, maybe. On this initial recording, I don't know when you're going to be tuning in, or I really don't even know when I'm going to share this or if I will share it at all. But as I'm recording this right now, it is Friday evening. We're just completing one of the first few weeks of what we're calling unschooling for Sienna. We just pulled her out of daycare maybe a month ago now, and it's been amazing. And I've learned so much about my daughter. I've gotten to bond with her in such a new way this past month, and it's truly been incredible. And I'm feeling really grateful, and I'm feeling called to get on here and to share what's going on in our lives right now. There's been, I guess, in general, a lot of turbulence this year in our world. There's a lot going on historically right now. But specifically in my family, in my life, there's been also quite a bit of fluidity that's unique for our situation, and I'm feeling super grateful. I'm feeling super hopeful and optimistic, and I just again felt called to share a little bit about kind of the inside of what's going on. So there's no real big surprises in this video, no announcements. So Dad, if you're watching, you can calm down. I just really want to sort of recap everything that we do have going on, because again, it feels like a lot of transition, a lot of fluidity. So I guess I will start with sharing kind of how this really got into motion. Was at the start of 2020, just before the shutdown, just before any information about the pandemic. My husband and I had committed to moving to property next door to my mom. She lives in a neighborhood that she's just lived in for a few years, towards the back of the neighborhood off a dirt road. And we had been talking about moving next door to her for a while and kind of tossing around different ideas for construction and what that would look like. And we had finally committed to doing metal construction, finally figured out all the financing and how that was going to go. And when the shutdown happened, we kind of panicked, I think like a lot of people did, and we pulled the trigger and sold our house that we were living in pretty quickly, which in hindsight, maybe we could have made a little bit more profit if we would have held on to that a little bit longer. But I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason, and I actually happen to know the people who moved into our home, and they're amazing people, and I'm so happy for them. And it does kind of make me happy to know the people who took over that home, and to know that they're raising their family there. But since we had kind of pulled the trigger so quickly on that, we wound up moving into my mom's house while this house was being built. And so again, this is during remote working and a lot of transition and a lot of chaos and uncertainty. So those were some interesting times. But we got through it, and our house got built, and we chose metal construction a lot because it's something unique. We liked the idea of having something that felt and looked a little bit different. Of course, we also hoped that it would save us quite a bit of money, and it did save some money, maybe not as much as we initially thought. That I can share about more on that later, or if you have questions, please let me know. But through the process of staying at my mom's and building this house, we made a ton of sacrifices within our life, and we had quite a bit of support from family, and for that. We're deeply grateful, but we were able to actually get out of debt completely. At this point, our only major debt being our home, our mortgage payment. And so what this did for us was really opened our eyes. We stepped out of the what you would call a scarcity mindset that we were living in, and were able to have a different perspective on some of our dreams and visions for our life. And we started kind of prioritizing some of those things and looking at our timeline a little bit differently. And this really redirected our path. I had no clue that I was going to want to, quit my job and stay home with Sienna. I guess I shouldn't say I had no clue. It was something that I had wanted, but it was not something that I saw as possible for myself. And at this point in time, it started to look as something that was more possible, something that I could grasp and put my hands around. And Sienna's been in daycare since she was 12 weeks old when, my FMLA was up, and we sent her to daycare, and it's been hard on us since that time. And I'm fortunate to work for an organization that has a ton of flexibility. They, really prioritize family time, and I'm so grateful for that. But it just was never enough for us, for me. And I struggle. I don't want to use the word struggle, but I have a difficult time sharing my attention when it comes to Sienna. So when I'm with her, I really like for her to have my undivided attention. I don't like to, shush her or tell her I'm working or have my attention split. And again, I'm intentionally not using the word struggle there, because I don't think that there's anything negative about that. But what it does is it lets me know that this isn't the best option for me to have a full-time job and try to share that with her when it's causing so much inner turmoil for me. And so, yeah, it's worked out for me to be able to now transition to staying with her at home. And I'm so excited to have a different relationship with her, as she's at such a precious time in her life and growing and learning. And we're also, kind of on a related note, we're also really exploring some different business ideas, some different entrepreneurial ideas. And obviously I know this is kind of counterintuitive, because that means we are going to be working with her, but the visions that we have is that our work looks very different moving forward. And that's exciting to me. It's inspiring. And I hope, again, I know that this is not possible for everybody to take this kind of risk. But I think what I would like to inspire you and to leave with you as a takeaway is, we don't have our whole chart mapped out from here. As much as my type A personality wants to cling to that, I want to know what's the next step. Where are we headed? Where are we going from here? That's simply not possible right now. What I could see was that the first step was to have Sienna home, for me to be home with her. And I could feel that in my core. I know that is true, that that's what we're supposed to be doing. And so we're taking that step. And I think part of why I wanted to share this video and the behind the scenes is that I know some people are thinking that we've lost our minds, and maybe that's still to be determined. But it's worth it for me to know that I took the step that I felt called to take. And so I would like to inspire you that if there is something on your heart, something that you're feeling called to do, to go for it, to consider it, at least consider it. What good is it to go through life wanting to make a choice to do something differently and to not give yourself the opportunity to try that. This is the life that we're stepping into. So just a couple other things to share. I'll get off of that kind of tangent, but hopefully you do find that inspiring or refreshing in some way. But the other things that I would like to share is, like I said, we're considering some different business opportunities. If you know me, then you know that I have recently completed a health coaching program. When I enrolled in this program, it's Chris Kresser's Functional Medicine Health Coaching certification. It was a year-long program, very in-depth, very thorough. I'm happy to talk with anyone about it who's considering that school or this career. But I had no idea what I was getting myself into. It was a little bit different than what I expected, but in such a good way, such a rich way. I feel so fulfilled by coaching, by supporting people. And I'm so excited about the possibilities within this industry and the opportunity to have coaching relationships with people. And I think that's part of why I'm trying to put myself out there a little bit more on social media. I'm not crazy about the idea about trying to sell my services, because I think that the people who feel called to have a life coach, to have a health coach, to make changes in their lives, and the people who feel like they'll be able to connect with my style of coaching will naturally know, and we'll be able to have a conversation about it. But what I do want to do is be able to show up here on the internet and offer insight, offer something that lets you know that there are other options in life. I hope that what I share is, again, inspirational and conversational. I would love to know how things feel for you on the receiving end. I would love to know what you're interested in hearing more about. And that's my hope with this YouTube channel. I am happy to show up on, Instagram. It's probably where I'm at most, more so than Facebook, but I also really like this sort of more like longer format of sharing, because I tend to have a lot of words. I have a lot of things to say, so this is probably where I'm going to do most of my deeper shares. So if you're interested in that, again, let me know what interests you and subscribe. And I think the last thing maybe I have two more things to share. I'm not going to go into like all of the other thoughts and business ideas that we have, but I will share that, again, like I said, we don't know the whole path. We don't know what's the next step. We don't know 10 steps from now. And we don't even know, there's a possibility one or both of us may go back to having a full-time job. One or both of us may go back to law enforcement. I plan to stay with law enforcement in a volunteer capacity. And I think it's important to note that trying to do things differently, trying the things that you're feeling called to try, does not mean that you can't go back. And that's a reminder I have to give for myself, but I hope that it also helps you feel a little bit encouraged that there's always opportunity to return, to go back. And the other thing I would like to share is a message that I've been learning and leaning into through my teacher, through my coach that I'm currently working with, and that is to do the things that feel good. Make the choices that feel easy, that feel light, that fill you with pleasure. This is a very kind of feminine approach to decision making, but I've been experimenting with it and it has been serving me well. And that's why I want to add it onto this video, because that has guided me through a lot of these choices that I'm making in my life right now. And I'm excited to model that to my daughter, to model that to the other children that are in my life, to make the choices that feel good in your body, that feel good in your heart. Hopefully, again, this video inspires you, and hopefully it answers some questions or just kind of summarizes everything that we're going through. I'm feeling so much gratitude to be here and to be able to share this with you and for you listening to this. Thank you.